What do you think is the most important issue in politics today for young people?
I think the most important issue in politics today is a lack of discussion in the sort of fundamentals in philosophy. I believe personally that the history of man has always been the struggle between two ideologies, or bigger government and smaller government, and it started, with Plato and Aristotle. Aristotle, believing that A is A, that man has the answers inside of him, that the individual is important, and Plato believing that an intellectual elite should make decisions. And throughout all of human history, it's been a struggle of man's battle with the state. And I think that has gotten lost in American politics because, we do have capitalism, we do have freedom. We've known that freedom, that it's hard for a lot of people to really come to terms with the fact that that struggle is still going on, that there is still a struggle between those that want less government, those that want more government. And I think that what's not being discussed is how rare freedom is and how quickly the expansion of government can lead to totalitarianism, to a complete reverse of our country.
So you believe that from the
Try to keep the answers a little bit short.
Yeah, sorry, I know.
So you believe that from our very beginnings that we've been battling this issue of big government versus small government? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. We've battled monarchies, and we've battled, totalitarians, and we've battled fascism, and we've battled Maoism, and communism, and socialism, and terrorism. It's always a battle of the state.
Could you name at least one philosopher that you admire?
I can name more than one, but Hayek, Friedrich Hayek, is one of my favorites. He wrote a book called The Road to Serfdom, which was a conservative book. It was a conservative libertarian philosophy, and it shaped the views of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. And he, like a lot of philosophers who I admire, including de Tocqueville, who wrote a book called Democracy in America, a gentleman named Edmund Burke, was active during the British Revolution and the French Revolution. What these philosophers that I love did was basically warn, Edmund Burke warned France, de Tocqueville warned the Americans, Hayek warned the world of what would happen if we're not steadfast in defending freedom. Just how frail freedom is, and how we can quickly be on a road to serfdom.
Okay, so let me see. Everyone you've named would be someone I would say is sort of falls on the political right, on the right side of the aisle. So would it be? Am I assuming too much to assume that you fall on that side of the aisle?
Yes, I'm a conservative. I believe in freedom. I believe in free markets. I believe that free markets and freedom is the only system it's the only absolute. It's the only thing that has ever proved to produce wealth and prosperity in the world and lift people out of darkness and poverty.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not arguing with you. I'm just
Playing devil's
trying to
advocate.
get some expansion on this. Isn't it possible to say though that free markets, led to the Great Depression and free markets led to the situation? I mean, there were slaves in the South.
Right.
Wasn't there a market system in the South that made it necessary for them to have slaves? Free markets led to the punishment of Jews in Germany.
Right.
Because it was beneficial for the German state. I mean, these are just some of the ideas that I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
So can you say that free markets don't really benefit man?
I think that it is very much a misconception that free markets don't benefit man. I think oftentimes failures in our economy get pinned on the free market. The free market gets blamed for a lot of the problems that we're facing. Take the Great Depression as an example. The Great Depression what caused the massive, I mean, obviously there was a lot of prosperity in the 20s because we had an industrial revolution, the market was booming. In addition to that, what accelerated what created the roaring 20s was a credit expansion. And it was not a market-made credit expansion. It was a government-made credit expansion. The Federal Reserve was just founded, and basically it was the Fed's constant tampering in the economy, and it led to this credit expansion. And when the bubble burst, as those types of bubbles do burst, people panicked and they freaked out, and they wanted answers. And here comes FDR, and he's charismatic and he's charming and he has all the answers. And he massively expanded the state. He instituted the New Deal policy, which was the greatest, I think, expansion of state that the U.S. has ever experienced. The free markets do find a solution, and it was beginning to turn around. And these programs, they kept America in depression for a decade, and it should never have been that way. That was a time when we needed government to step out of the way the most. We needed businesses to start going. We needed, to just take the sort of a hands-off approach to the economy. Let the businesses do their thing. Don't have, strict regulations on them. But the government had a let's blame business policy. They're the evil businessman. Images of that it's the best marketed thing. You always have Christmas movies where they vilify the businessman who has destroyed Christmas, when really he's given present. He's created the toys that then all the kids get to have on Christmas morning. But it's easy to vilify the businessman. He's been vilified.
Yeah.
And to tax them, yeah.
I've heard some of the arguments before. It almost sounds like you're an anarchist. Are you saying that government is completely irrelevant, unnecessary?
No, absolutely not. I think that government is... In order for a free market to exist, you need government. But you need to understand what the role of government should be, and what the role of government is that was intended by our founding fathers. And that is protection of our inalienable rights. That's it. The beauty of the founding father, the beauty of the Constitution is not that it gave rights. The beauty of it is that it's based on, if one man was here alone, if he was the only man on the planet, what would he be able to do? He would be able to pick up a gun and defend himself. He'd be able to have wealth. He would be able to say whatever he wanted. And the government's role is we understand that when there are more people, that those rights can be taken away by force, etc. And so the government's responsibility, and its only responsibility, is defense of those inalienable rights, rights that no one can take away, that a man would have if he was the only one on the planet. And it's and to protect those rights, you need a legal system, because you need to defend your rights through the law, a rational law that understands these inalienable rights, and through a police force, and through a defense, so that no outsider can take those inalienable rights from you. And that is the role of a government.
Oh, okay. So you do believe that the government should have some authority.
Absolutely.
So then, I don't want to pause hairs here, but what do you think that the proper, place for government is when it comes to business? Because if I heard you correctly, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you were saying that you almost implied that there was no role for government in business, in economic affairs. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that, or if not, do you believe that there's any role? And if so, what could the government play?
Right. Well, and now bear in mind, when I talk about these things, I'm obviously talking based on a philosophy. I do understand that reality exists, that things have changed and evolved, and that we do have regulation, and that to take it all away is